Muhammad Ali was sitting in his Phoenix home when the phone rang with news that stopped his heart. Joe Frazier was dying, and he wanted to see him. After 40 years of one of sport's most bitter rivalries, Ali had just days to say what he'd never been able to say before. What happened next left the boxing world in tears. It was November 2011, and Muhammad Ali, now 69 years old, had been battling Parkinson's disease for nearly 3 decades. His hands trembled constantly, his speech was slow and labored, and getting through each day required tremendous effort. But when his wife Lonnie told him that Joe Frazier was in the final stages of liver cancer and had asked to see him, Ali didn't hesitate for a second. "I have to go to him," Ali said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I have to tell him something I should have said 40 years ago." The relationship between Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier was one of the most complicated and painful in sports history. They weren't just rivals in the ring. They were two men whose battles had defined an era, destroyed a friendship, and left scars that never fully healed. It started in 1971 with what was billed as the fight of the century at Madison Square Garden. Ali had been stripped of his championship title for refusing to fight in Vietnam, and Frazier had become champion in his absence. When Ali finally got his chance to reclaim the crown, it was Frazier who stood in his way. But what made their rivalry so bitter wasn't just what happened in the ring. It was what Ali said outside of it. In the months leading up to that first fight, Ali had launched a cruel campaign against Frazier. He called him ignorant. He called him an Uncle Tom and suggested that Frazier was a puppet of white America. He said Frazier was too ugly to be champion. These weren't just typical boxing trash talk. These were deeply personal attacks designed to humiliate. For Frazier, who had supported Ali during his boxing ban and had even lent him money when Ali was broke, the betrayal cut deep. Frazier had considered Ali a friend, maybe even a brother, but Ali had turned him into a villain to promote their fight, and Frazier never forgave him for it. "I hated Ali," Frazier would later admit. "God might not like me talking like that, but it's the truth. He took a piece of me that night that I never got back." The fight itself was brutal. For 15 rounds, they beat each other with a savagery that shocked everyone watching. In the 15th round, Frazier landed a devastating left hook that sent Ali to the canvas. It was the first time Ali had ever been knocked down in a professional fight. Frazier won by unanimous decision, but the victory came at a terrible cost. His face was so swollen afterward that he spent 2 weeks in the hospital. October 1, 1975. The Thrilla in Manila. Even the name sounds like hell, and that's exactly what it became. The fight took place in the Philippines in front of Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos and his wife. The temperature inside the arena was over 100 degrees. The humidity was suffocating. And for 14 rounds, Ali and Frazier tried to kill each other. "Man, I hit him with punches that bring down the walls of a city," Ali said afterward. Lawdy, he's a great champion." But what Ali remembered most was the pain. "It was like death," he said, "closest thing to dying that I know of." By the 14th round, Frazier could barely see. Both his eyes were nearly swollen shut. His face was a mask of blood and bruises. When the bell rang to end the round, Frazier's trainer, Eddie Futch, wouldn't let him continue. "Sit down, son. It's all over," Futch said. "No one will ever forget what you did here today." Ali had won, but he collapsed in his corner immediately after. He couldn't stand for the post-fight interview. He later admitted he was ready to quit himself if the fight had gone one more round. The Thrilla in Manila should have ended with mutual respect. Both men had proven their greatness. Both had pushed beyond any reasonable human limit. But instead, the bitterness only grew worse.
In the years that followed, Ali continued to mock Frazier in public. During television appearances and interviews, he would call Frazier a gorilla and laugh at his expense. Each insult was like another punch, except these came when Frazier had no way to fight back. Frazier's response was to carry his hatred like a weight he couldn't put down. In interviews, he would say he dreamed of Ali dying in a car crash. He told reporters that if Ali were on fire, he wouldn't cross the street to throw water on him. The anger consumed him, and everyone around Frazier could see it was destroying him. "Joe never let it go," said his son, Marvis Frazier. "It ate him up inside. Every time Ali's name came up, you could see Dad's whole body tense." The two men would occasionally cross paths at boxing events and Hall of Fame ceremonies, but they never spoke. If one entered a room, the other would leave. At a 2001 ceremony where they were both being honored, they stood on opposite sides of the stage and refused to look at each other. But in private, away from the cameras and the crowds, something was changing in Muhammad Ali. As Parkinson's disease slowly took away his ability to speak and move, Ali began to reflect on his life in ways he never had before. His Islamic faith had always taught him the importance of seeking forgiveness, but it took the disease to make him truly understand what that meant. Muhammad started talking about Joe around 2005, Lonnie remembered. He would say Joe's name and shake his head. I knew he had regrets, but his speech was so limited that he couldn't fully express what he was feeling. Ali tried several times to reach out to Frazier, but Frazier refused to take his calls. Once, at a boxing event, Ali approached Frazier and tried to embrace him. Frazier pushed him away and walked out of the building.
"It's too late," Frazier told a reporter. "He can't take back what he did to me." But in the fall of 2011, everything changed. Joe Frazier was diagnosed with liver cancer. The disease was aggressive, and doctors told him he had only weeks to live. As Frazier lay in his hospital bed in Philadelphia, something shifted in his heart. His daughter Jackie was sitting with him when he suddenly said, "I want to see Ali. I need to talk to him before I go." Jackie was shocked. Her father had spent 40 years refusing to forgive Muhammad Ali. Now, with death approaching, he wanted reconciliation. "Are you sure, Dad?" she asked. "Yeah," Frazier said weakly. "It's time. We're both old men now. This hate has got to end." When the call came to Ali's home in Phoenix, Lonnie answered. She listened as Jackie Frazier explained the situation and her father's wish to see Ali. "We'll be there," Lonnie said immediately. "Tell your father we're coming." The logistics were complicated. Ali's Parkinson's made travel difficult, and he required constant care. But Lonnie arranged everything, and within 2 days they were on a plane to Philadelphia. On November 8, 2011, Muhammad Ali walked into Joe Frazier's hospital room. The scene was heartbreaking. Frazier, once a powerful heavyweight champion who could take Ali's hardest punches, now looked small and fragile in his hospital bed. The cancer had ravaged his body. He weighed barely 120 pounds, and his skin had taken on a yellowish tint from liver failure. Ali, his hands shaking from Parkinson's, slowly approached the bed. For a long moment, the two men just looked at each other. 40 years of anger, pain, and regret hung in the air between them. Then Ali did something that surprised everyone in the room. He got down on his knees beside Frazier's bed. "Joe," Ali said, his voice trembling and slow, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for everything I said. You didn't deserve that. You were always a great champion, and I was wrong to talk about you the way I did." Tears were streaming down Ali's face as he spoke. His Parkinson's made it difficult for him to express himself, but everyone in that room understood every word he was saying. Frazier reached out with his thin, weak hand and placed it on top of Ali's trembling hand. "It's okay, champ," Frazier said softly. "You're forgiven. We both said things. We both did things. But you made me great. Our fights made both of us who we are. I couldn't have been great without you. You made me great too, Joe. Nobody ever pushed me the way you did. Nobody ever made me dig that deep.
You were the toughest man I ever fought, the bravest man I ever knew." For the next hour, the two men talked quietly, sometimes words, sometimes just sitting in silence, holding hands. They talked about Manila. They talked about their children. They talked about getting old and facing death.
At one point, Frazier asked Ali about his Parkinson's. "Does it hurt?" Frazier asked. "Only my pride," Ali said, managing a small smile. "But I deserved it. All those punches you gave me, they made me who I am." "And all those punches you gave me," Frazier said, "they're part of me too. We're connected forever, you and me. We're part of each other's story." Before Ali left that hospital room, he did something that no one expected. He took off the Islamic prayer bracelet he always wore and placed it on Frazier's wrist. "This will protect you," Ali said, "on your journey." "Thank you, brother," Frazier said. "You're still the greatest." "No, Joe," Ali said, tears still flowing. "We both are. We both are." Muhammad Ali left that hospital room and never saw Joe Frazier again. Just one day later, on November 7, 2011, Joe Frazier passed away with Ali's prayer bracelet still on his wrist. At Frazier's funeral, Ali couldn't attend because of his health, but he sent a statement that was read aloud. "The world has lost a great champion. I will always remember Joe with respect and admiration. Go back to God. You were a great fighter, a great man. Rest in peace." Marvis Frazier, Joe's son, later revealed what his father's final words about Ali had been. "He told me, 'I forgive him. Tell Muhammad I forgive him. And I hope he forgives me too. We were warriors together. We pushed each other to be great. And in the end, that's all that matters." The story of Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier reminds us that even the deepest wounds can heal. Even the longest grudges can be released. Even the most bitter rivals can find peace. Their 3 fights were legendary. They gave us moments of courage and determination that will never be forgotten. But their final meeting in that hospital room, when 2 old warriors finally forgave each other, that was their greatest victory. Because in the end, it's not the punches we throw that define us. It's the hands we hold. It's the forgiveness we offer. It's the peace we make before we go. Muhammad Ali passed away in 2016, 5 years after Joe Frazier. When Ali died, Marvis Frazier was one of the first to speak publicly about his passing. He told me, "My father died at peace because of that meeting, and I believe Muhammad did too. They needed each other in life, and they needed each other at the end. That's what real greatness looks like." Today, at the International Boxing Hall of Fame, there's a photo of Ali and Frazier standing together, both smiling. It was taken on the day of their reconciliation. Neither man's face shows the damage of their wars. Instead, you see 2 friends who found their way back to each other after 40 years in the darkness. Beneath the photo is a plaque with a quote from Ali. "Joe Frazier was the greatest fighter I ever fought, not just in the ring, but in life. He taught me what it means to be a warrior, and at the very end, he taught me what it means to forgive." If this story of reconciliation and forgiveness moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes the greatest battles we fight aren't against our opponents, but against our own pride and anger. And sometimes the greatest victory is simply saying, "I'm sorry."